morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ty with the GoPro strapped to my head. Let's take this 2024 Kia Forte GT for a test drive. Now, this has a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder under the hood, about 201 horsepower. This one also has the dual clutch transmission. Now, I know this is available with a 6-speed manual. Tried to find one of those to do a video on, just could not. So we are working with the 7-speed dual clutch transmission. $28,280 MSRP on this particular car. And if you're interested in seeing a full features review on this particular car, check my channel because I did just that. Kind of all the features on this car on the outside, under the hood, under the trunk, in the rear seats, front seats. Here I'm going to give you a quick overview, then we're going to go for a test drive. So under the hood, pretty good amount of space. You can fold down the rear seats if you need more. Rear seats are actually decently roomy for a car of this size too. Guy of my size, my knees just about hit the back of the seats. I'm 5'10". Not a bad looking interior for this car either. It's starting to show its age just a little bit, but it really is a pretty nice looking car, and I'm very curious to see how this drives. Never driven one of these before, so this will be a first drive, I guess, for the both of us, as long as you know, whoever's watching it doesn't actually own one of these. Now, we did do an exhaust clip for the features review video, and this actually has a pretty throaty exhaust, so I'm pretty excited to see what it sounds like when we give it the beans. So we are going to be switching up the drive modes a little bit. We're going to start in normal. And this test drive will kind of just take us for a quick loop, you know, 8-9 minute test drive. And we'll get it into some different scenarios. You know, we have a nice straight road, more of a main road planned as our first kind of segment of the video. And that'll give us an idea on how it drives up at higher speeds, you know, 45, 50 miles an hour. And for the remainder of the video, we'll be on a nice back road. We'll test out the acceleration. We'll see how it handles. We'll see what the suspension feels like too. Immediately setting off, even in the normal driving mode, the steering actually feels pretty hefty, which is nice. You definitely get the sense that you're in a car with a dual clutch transmission, because it's ever so slightly jerky at lower speeds. And if you pay attention to the tachometer, it just shifts lightning fast, even just driving around like this. Well, we got a brief moment at least of 45 miles per hour driving, and now it looks like we're stuck behind a street sweeper. So, initial impressions. It is pretty quiet up at those speed. Actually, here we go. We're going a little bit faster now. May have spoke too soon. Up at 40 to 50 miles an hour, it's actually pretty quiet in here. You do get a little bit of humming from the tire noise. The steering is actually pretty direct. It actually feels good in normal mode. Now, I actually used to drive a Volkswagen GLI, which is kind of in the same segment as this car, so it'll be interesting to see how it stacks up. The same idea, turbocharged 4-cylinder under the hood, dual clutch transmission. So it'll be interesting to see how this stacks up. Yeah, it seems to be pretty nicely insulated up at 40 miles an hour. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of speed to work with since we have our maintenance crew up front. But yeah, the sound noise is just fine. GTR right there, that's nice. Sound noise is just fine, except there's a little bit of humming of the tires. That's the only thing I really notice that kind of stands out to me. Now, we are going to put it into sport mode here, because of this light starts our back road journey here. So we'll kind of get it up the hill here. If traffic allows us to, we're gonna get acceleration from a dead stop here. So let's see if traffic will allow. It looks like we'll be good. Steering weightens up very nicely in sport mode. So all right, looks like we're clear in the rear view mirror, and I'm just gonna floor it and see what happens. This car pulls good, I'm telling you. It actually gripped up pretty good too. Only 225 tires up front. This car is actually a hoot. We've got the traction control on, you know, shifting in automatic mode, but the car in itself in sport mode, actually a really good amount of power. I was kind of surprised. 201 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but I guess when you're working with a car of this size, it scoots. This car gets up and goes pretty good. Now this road is pretty rough. It could definitely use a repaving, but that's good for us, so we could test out the suspension. Now you can see the lane keeping assist is doing its job very nicely, trying to keep me in the lane, but I really don't want to get a blowout with these terrible potholes in this road. The lane keeping assist works very nicely. Suspension is actually very solid feeling. You know, it's definitely more on the sporty side, so it does ride a little bit rough, but very solid feeling nonetheless. Huge difference in sport mode, actually. The steering weightens up very nicely. As you can see, the RPMs are being held where they should be in a sporty mode, and the throttle response is very sharp. This actually has a pretty good sounding exhaust. It's pretty throaty, so actually a pretty fun car. We've got a nice S-turn coming up here, so we'll do a little bit of cornering here. Again, we're working with public roads, so nothing crazy, but at least we'll get an idea. Actually, doesn't feel too bad in the corners. Obviously, we have a front-wheel drive architecture, which there's a little bit of kind of diving into the corner, but yeah, it feels pretty planted. The suspension feels pretty flat, which is pretty nice. Let's just bump it into manual mode. So we're about 2250 RPM right now. I'm gonna floor it. Oh, let's see. Oh, I guess we have to, let's see here. Let's lock it into a gear first. That would help. So lock it into fourth and see how much kind of. Yeah, it's got some pretty good mid-range power, and this is a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, so it's pretty small, but it does have some pretty good mid-range power, so that's pretty good. Let's try that again at 2,000 RPM. Let's see. Yeah, turbo kicks in nice and low, and it's got some good power, this car. Actually pretty impressive. And we'll pop it back into normal mode. I actually really like the way this car drives so far. The seats are also pretty comfortable. They have a little bit more kind of side bolstering than your typical Kia Forte seats with the GT trim. So they are pretty comfortable. You got adjustable lumbar too, which is nice. Actually a pretty comfortable car to drive too. My only complaints are really the kind of tire noise. The tires are just a little bit noisy. But actually, I'm pretty impressed with this car. $28,000 fully loaded, this sticker price. It's a lot of car here for the money. It really is. But it appears that our test drive is coming to an end here. I hope you have enjoyed the Kia Forte GT just as much as I have. I certainly had a little bit of a grin on my face driving this car. And I hope you stick with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one, as well as feature reviews in the future. Thank you very much for watching.